And we are back. What's good, everybody? Back again with another video. Got my boy Scotty Gupta here with me today. And we are about to be talking a little bit about everything today. We're kind of just going with the flow with this first episode. Me and Sonny both just love basketball and just love talking. So we thought it would be dope to go ahead and just come on here and just give you guys a little bit of an insight with what we usually talk about on a regular basis. So, Sonny, I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself. Tell us about your favorite team, kind of how long you've been watching basketball, and what you've missed so far with basketball being gone, I guess.
What's up, y'all? My name is Sonny. Me and Alex went to high school together. I've been watching basketball ever since I moved to the States, which is back in 2003. That's when the Kings were actually really good. The Kings and the Lakers battles back then. Favorite team? I don't know if I have a favorite team. I used to have a favorite player. He retired just last year, Dwayne Wade. I just followed him along when I moved to the States. That was like the guy. He had just gotten drafted into the NBA. And yeah, I watch all sports, but if I had to pick one, definitely basketball is my favorite sport. And what I've missed since this whole lockdown and stuff, and the season being postponed is just playoffs, right? Playoffs should have started this past weekend or the weekend before, I forget.
Yeah.
And we, and I don't know, in like what, 5 years, we were going to have a playoff run where there's no clear favorite, right? Like there was teams that were going at it, and it would have been a crazy playoffs. And who knows, we might still have it, we might not. God knows what's going to happen. But in 4 or 5 years, it wasn't going to be the Warriors versus whoever's coming out of the East, right? Like, or LeBron versus the Warriors, right? It was going to be like somebody. It's just, we didn't know what was going to happen, right? The Lakers were looking good, the Clippers were looking good, Giannis and the Bucks were looking good. It's like there's just so many teams, the Rockets, all these teams, and in the East, there's Boston, right? Boston's looking good. There's just so many teams. Philly, they were struggling, but they're so talented. They could have, made a playoff push. Toronto, even though they lost Kawhi, like they were looking good. So we just had a playoff that no one knew what was going to happen. Anybody could have been upset in the first or second round. And, it wasn't like a foregone conclusion when the season started. So, that's what I miss the most. I just miss sports in general. Like we lost March Madness. We lost everything. There's nothing to watch. There's just old games that you can watch, or, the Jordan documentary that just came out that we'll talk about. But yeah, it's just, I miss sports in general, man. That's what gets me through my days.
That's facts. Like I wish I could tell you how many times I just sit here and just go on YouTube and just watch old games. Like I watched yesterday, I was watching the 06 Cavs versus the 06, well, obviously 06 versus 06, the Heat versus the Cavs.
Yeah.
Wade dropped like 46 and LeBron dropped like 44 or something crazy like
Yeah.
that. And like Shaq wasn't playing either in that game, so D Wade was just going crazy taking all the shots. And the day before that, I had watched the I think it was 2014 Blazers versus the Thunder. This is the year KD was hurt, so Westbrook was carrying the Thunder's team. And the Thunder was up like 10 points with a minute and a half left, and Damian Lillard just started going crazy, just balling away shooting threes. And I never really noticed that he had been giving Westbrook that work like that for like years now. A lot of people kind of just think of just the Heat playoffs, but nah, he has been giving Westbrook the work for a while. So I watched that, and then I watched another Dame Lillard game where I think he dropped like 50. It was just a whole bunch of like 2014 old Blazers games, like back when they had Aldridge, Wesley Matthews,
right,
Thomas Robinson. Like it was just a bunch of dudes that like you don't even think about. I was like, dang, Blazers low key had a squad back in the day.
I watched Game 7 of the 16 finals when LeBron and them came back. I watched like the ending, and then I love like LeBron being so vulnerable. Like that was LeBron at his most vulnerable we've ever seen him, right? Like that whole speech that he gives to Doris Burke at the end, I think I've seen that thing maybe like 1,000 times. It's just, it gives me chills every single time. And I think like I can probably like name play by play what's going to happen because I've seen it so many times. And it's so good. It's so good. Like as soon as LeBron's about to get interviewed, Kyrie comes and like hugs him, and LeBron's crying. Like it's crazy. It's like, I love watching that clip. It's like, I think a 20-minute clip at the end. It's like the last 4 or 5 minutes when no one scores.
Nobody.
Right? It's pretty bad basketball.
Yeah.
It's Kyrie makes a shot. I think the Warriors never score at all. It's like Kyrie makes a 3-pointer. That's the game winner, basically. LeBron gets fouled. He makes one free throw and the game's over, basically. But I love watching that. It's so good. But yeah, to your point, I've just been watching a lot of old clips, man.
And I'm glad you brought up Game 7 because, yeah, I can't tell you how many times because I hate the Warriors. I mean, I don't really hate them anymore.
Yeah,
I kind of feel sorry for them now more than anything.
yeah.
But just that game, bro, like a lot of people forget, like unless you go back and watch, the Warriors were in control for a lot of that game, bro.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
like JR just comes out in the beginning of the third quarter, hits like 2 threes in a row,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
slowly like shifts the momentum. And
oh,
it's
yeah.
like LeBron didn't shoot the ball well that game at all. Like he shot the ball
Mm,
terrible. Like
hmm
I want to say he was 5.
That block he had, right? Like the famous block that's heard
That's
around the
it.
world.
Yeah, that's literally. I mean, I shouldn't say that's it. I think he still put up a triple double that game. But
Yeah, he did. He did.
look at him and you see like the amount of turnovers he had and just both like it wasn't one of his best games.
Oh,
But I think
yeah,
that was the beauty in it is that like Steph Curry, he struggled that game.
yeah.
He was missing. I'm like going back and watching. I'm like, oh Clay, this is wet.
You know who had a good game was Draymond Green. He
Draymond
balled out.
hitting them
He
threes.
balled out. He had a triple double. Like if the Warriors would have won, he could have had an argument for winning MVP.
Yeah,
But he got suspended one of the games. But like, and that made it that much more interesting because like he got suspended and the Warriors couldn't win after that. You know what I mean? So, but he balled out game 7, man. He made 3. Like, I think he was like 7 for 11 from 3-pointers. Like the dude balled out. He's just like, I'm not losing.
he was throwing them up.
Um,
I wish
yeah,
that. Yeah, I kind of wish that they kind of give Draymond a little bit more respect than they do.
yeah,
Really, he showed out in that series.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Um,
a big game, right? So,
it really was, bro.
yeah,
On a more on another note, though, I guess we'll kind of get into more recent stuff. We all know the Jordan documentary came out the first 2 episodes last Sunday.
right.
Very hyped up, very anticipated. Go ahead and give me your thoughts and your takeaways on what you saw. So far.
So I see. I came to the United States in 2003, so I don't. I mean, we were born the time Jordan was like at his peak, right? So I don't know much. I mean, of course, I know a lot about him, but I've never really like. This is the first time Jordan is letting us into his life from his point of view, right? Like Jordan never, like from what I've read and what I've heard, he's never really let cameras into his life and like ever put anything out. Like today world, we know everything about all the athletes, or at least like a lot of stuff. Like we know a lot about LeBron, Steph's of the world, KD's of the world, and everything. But this is the first time we get to learn about who Jordan was as a player, and maybe a little bit about his personal life also as he was playing basketball back then. But I don't know, maybe there's still a lot left, right? There's still 8 episodes. I just think the first 2 episodes, I want more. I don't know, maybe I'm being like, selfish or something, but this is the first time I'm getting to learn about Jordan, who's arguably the greatest athlete of all time, not even sports, just NBA, but like all sports ever, right? So now if you're going to hype this up to tell me that like, you're going to get to like have an insight of Michael Jeffrey Jordan, goddammit. I want more, right? I felt like it was a lot more about like Scottie Pippen and like others on the team more than him. And maybe that's by design, and we'll get into it as, the documentary progresses. But I definitely want more. Like it was cool to see how he went to like I think he went to go play golf with Danny Ainge after like
Yeah,
game 1 against the Celtics. It's like how all the players get like shitted on nowadays, how they're all friends with each other, but like it kind of happened back in the day as well, right? But he came back in game 2 and dropped like 60 on them, so he was like, yo, like watch me. But he was such a competitive guy that like he lost that golf match or the golf game or whatever, and then he was like, all right, I'm gonna show out on the basketball. He just didn't have enough help, so they still lost or whatever. But it just those tidbits about Jordan, about how competitive this guy was, is just insane to me. And just like the stuff about practice and like him and him getting into it with his management and stuff, it's cool. But overall, I want more, and maybe that's just selfish and me trying to learn more about Jordan. But I think it's just a start. I think they'll give us more. But I mean, I didn't know about any of this management stuff like that was going on in the back. And I guess you never know because they try to keep that under the table. But it's cool. It's cool. I want more, but I think it's still good to learn more about it. So yeah.
I definitely agree. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that they're just taking it slow because I kind of have the same reasons as you have. But it was very knowledgeable for me just because I didn't know Pippen's contract was that trash from one. I
Me
mean,
neither.
7 years, 18 million. That's
Oh
insane.
God.
So
Yeah.
I saw something today that was like his contract is the same as Andre Roberson's contract now.
Yeah, exactly.
So like that was interesting, and I didn't really realize like just how much turmoil and dysfunction took place in the Bulls organization, just
Right.
because we only think of championships.
Right.
But that organization was terrible, bro. And like
Yeah.
the fact that they kept wanting to like hit the rebuild button, get Phil Jackson out of here. Like I'm in my head, I'm just like, wait, if we have the best player in the league, we have the best coach in the league, we have Scotty who's been loyal to us and like all these years. Just pay.
Right.
I don't understand why we can't like
Pay the man.
Yeah, like
Pay
I
the man.
don't understand that. Like if you take a look at them compared to like a well-run organization, like we'll just say the Warriors, for example,
Mm-hmm.
like you never have to worry about Steph, Clay, Draymond. Like those guys are locked in for life. They're getting the most money
Yeah.
they possibly can. Even with KD, he would have stayed. And
Mm.
so it's just like, dang, Jordan really carried that team, and like he was worth way more money than just the 30-something million that they could pay him. So
Yeah.
that kind of
How,
go ahead.
sorry, I was just. How do you feel about like Scotty not doing the surgery, like during the off season after they won the chip, and then like dragging it and trying to show off to management? Because I mean, Steve Kerr did say that like they didn't have a problem with it. I'm sure. I don't know. I think MJ definitely had a problem with it. It's like, yo, you're literally ruining this year, right? I mean, they went on and won the championship, whatever.
At the same time, like it seems like, and I think Stephen A. talked about this on First Take the other day, it didn't really seem like MJ was going to bat for Pippen like the way he should have. So, I mean, go ahead.
Sorry, MJ got paid that year. I think that was the first year MJ got paid a lot. I think it was like a $50 million I don't know. I saw something on Instagram.
I saw that too.
It was crazy.
53 mil? I didn't know he made
like that's not even in today's NBA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nobody's getting paid $53 million a year. Like I think Steph or James Harden might be like 40 million or something.
Yeah,
there's no way somebody's making 53 million. That is insane. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm looking at it just because I do want to confirm that, because I thought that was kind of crazy when I saw like 53 million.
I saw 50. I'm like, huh?
So I'm just checking on that right now. Yeah, see, that's not right. So 96, 97, he made 30 mil. 97, 98, he made 33 mil. But Sonny, look at these numbers before that though, bro. 95, 96, 3.8. 94, 95, 3.8. 93, 94, 4.
Jordan made $4 million a year?
Yes, bro.
That can't be. Oh
that's insane, dog. Even when he was on the Wizards.
Well, that's like bare minimum contracts. Those are like veterans nowadays that are sitting at the end of the bench. What? I mean, that's why they show all these numbers about like him making $1 billion after he like retired and with his whole Jordan brand and stuff. Holy mother of God.
That kind of does put it into perspective, I guess, when it's like, okay, well, Jordan really wasn't getting paid all those years.
Yeah.
And I kind of see it from Pippen's point, because it's like, okay, he's getting a little bit older. He's starting to get injured more.
Yeah.
Like, his contract is already trash now. But, I mean,
Yeah.
that was Jordan's contract. I mean, it's not.
Yeah. No, I don't think Pippen was wrong where he's coming from. It's like, yo, I need to get paid. What if I have a, like, life-threatening injury this year and then I don't have a contract and I'm getting paid $18 million over 7 years? Yep. Bro, that's like $3 million a year. Not even 2.5. And I'm like the defensive player of the year. I'm the second best player on the 3P championship team. Like when Jordan left, they almost went to the Eastern Conference Finals. So the dude is obviously like at least a top 10, top 15 player in the league at the time. Yep. And he's getting paid like what was it, like 150th like contract or 115th, whatever it was ridiculous. But see, I think the owner's thing was like, yo, you signed this contract. Like, exactly. Right? Like they talked about it. The owner was like, are you sure you want this contract? Because the owner was like, in the documentary, he was like, if I was you, I wouldn't sign this. But Pippen was like, yo, I gotta, when you see $20 million or $18 million, you're like, that's a lot of money, especially back in the day, right? Like early 90s. Yeah. That's probably like $80 million now.
Yeah, I agree. So it was tough. I'm interested to see. I think the next episode is a lot about Dennis Rodman, so it'll be interesting to like learn about that. But, I don't know. I'll just leave it at this. Hopefully, it more and more, because I wasn't really.
Yeah, all I'm trying to say, I just want more Jordan. I want more about him, because this is his, right? Like Yeah, Pippen, I've heard a lot about. He's on these ESPN shows, right? Like you get to learn a little bit more about him, but I want to learn more about Jordan because
Right.
if he's that assassin, he's that GOAT, which I believe he is, right? Um, then we should get to have a little bit of an insight from him.
Right. Nah, I feel you. And it's like, oh, because I don't even want to go into the whole GOAT debate because that's just something that never is
I
gonna
mean,
like.
there's a lot of all these rumors. Like Jordan never wanted to put this out, but when LeBron won the 16 title, he was like, "All right, let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's do this documentary." So he felt some type of way that LeBron's coming, right? Like, and there's a debate, right? Like, see, if you ask me, if just we can like spend 5 minutes on this. If you ask me, who would I want to pick if I was starting a franchise for 20 years, I'm taking LeBron because I see, longevity there, right? The dude's was he in his year 17 and he could be what, top 3 MVP right now?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that, right? Like top 2, top 3, possibly pushing for number 1, though Giannis was like having an out of this world season.
Yeah.
So, but now if I need to win a championship or if it's like for a playoff run, I'm taking Jordan. Like it's a hard discussion. So I don't know.
So my whole thing with that is there's so many things that goes into like a championship run because we see Jordan by himself isn't enough.
Yeah, he said it himself.
Yeah. But you look at LeBron and what he's been able to do, and everybody just says, oh, it's the weak East. Like, he's not doing this, not doing that. But at the end of the day, like, his results speak for himself. Like, if he's continuously been able to go ahead and take these mediocre teams to the finals every single – I shouldn't call all of them mediocre, but some of them have been pretty bad. I feel like – I don't know. I feel like that should do more for LeBron's case. I know that
Right.
he's 3-6, but at the same time, if you look at his roster overall compared to the teams he's faced, other than 2011, I mean,
that's the biggest blemish on
yeah,
his radar, on his what's it called, resume. Yeah. See, I think the biggest thing for LeBron is when Jordan left, the Bulls almost made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
yeah,
When LeBron left, the Cavs were in the lottery every year. Like, excuse my language, but all 4 years they were in the lottery. LeBron leaves the Heat are in the lottery, and they still, or I think they didn't make the playoffs. They had CB and they had D Wade still,
yep,
right? Like LeBron comes to the Cavs. So those 8 years, LeBron goes to the Heat 4 straight finals, right? They were in, I think in the year before he joined the Heat, they got out in the first round. And
yeah,
of course, yeah, they got Chris Bosh and whatnot. So of course the team was better, but you can't tell me that like LeBron didn't make a difference. LeBron was the best player on that team every season. And as soon as he gets back to the Cavs, 4 straight finals again, right? Like he had a young team. Kyrie hadn't done anything yet, and then they got Kevin Love, of course. But like he's the engine, right? He's the head of the snake that makes everything go. So I think that's the biggest accomplishment for him. And honestly, I think last year, if he doesn't get injured, I think the Lakers at least make the playoffs.
yeah,
But that's, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Because on Christmas Day, they were what, like a 4th or a 5th seed?
yeah. I think they were the 4th seed. Yeah.
So, and they were banging the Warriors. they were destroying them. They won that game, I think. So, but who knows? And then like he comes back this season with a roster that, he wanted, right? Like this is a roster he basically put together. And he's number 1 in the West, right? And the West is supposed to be the best now, right?
So
So I don't know, man.
it's interesting for sure. I mean, I get both sides. Like part of me just wishes I could grow up in the 90s as well so I could see Jordan firsthand.
Yeah.
There's no denying as far as killer instinct and just I'm just going to demolish you. Jordan has that over LeBron. But if we just go pure talent alone, I find it interesting if anybody says as far as just talent alone, LeBron James is the most talented NBA player of all time.
Yeah.
He has
to. LeBron can play more positions. He can guard more players. Yeah, he just overall, dude, he's a better player. I'm sorry to say. Like talent-wise, he's a better player.
Yeah. But I get it. Clutch Gene, I'm going to take this shot. I'm not passing the ball. I'm locking up on defense. I'm playing all 82 games. That mindset that Jordan has. Like, I see both sides of it. But at the end of the day, it's a conversation that's really you're never gonna know the true answer. Like,
Yeah, you're
I'm so
not.
tired of Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp just going back and forth on it. Like, Skip's not changing, Shannon's not changing. Let's find a new topic. Like,
Yeah,
change
yeah. I don't. Yeah, that's a conversation. Yeah, I mean, especially with Skip, you're not winning that conversation. He's just
nowhere.
because Skip gets ridiculous, man. Like, it's just like, come on, man.
He
Now
does,
you're just like being rude.
yeah, it's like he doesn't listen to anything, or he'll go ahead and like use his argument like to his advantage. But if Shannon
Yeah,
like, tries to go ahead and say the same thing, no, 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 it's like, bro, you literally just said that about Tom Brady or Michael Jordan. Like,
yeah. It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
yeah. But on another note, then, I mean, since we're talking about the current NBA a little bit, then do you kind of feel like the Lakers would have came out of the Western Conference, or who do you feel?
Oh man,
Clippers right there too.
that's the $1 million question, right? Um, oh God, that's hard. What would I want to see? I want to see LeBron win because he's the best player of my era.
Right.
Like it's a great story. He would go to win three different franchises. Um, and LeBron versus I guess it would be the Bucks in the East. I don't know, but we can talk about the East. I mean, it looked like it was going to be the
I think it's
Bucks.
the Bucks. Yeah, I think it's safe to say.
Um, yeah, I don't see the Lakers losing. I mean, it'd be hard for me to see the Lakers lose. Though, man, those Clippers are dogs, man. Holy shit, dude, they have a squad. That would have been a fun series. I hope we still get to see it. I'm holding hope that they somehow figure this out, maybe without fans or something. I don't know what they're gonna do. Because I don't even care if there are fans, if it's just like a gym that they're playing. I just want to see some basketball. Um, but yeah, personally, see, okay, my head tells me that the Clippers would have won, but my heart tells me that the Lakers would have won. See, I want the Lakers to be there because I want LeBron to do well. I feel like LeBron gets like shitted on way too much, and he's done too much for his own community, for just players in general, for him to be like, be shitted on like this. The dude, I think, as much as he is a great player on the floor, I think he's just that much better off the floor of the things he does. And yeah, so man, I think it would have been the Clippers or the Lakers, one or the other. And well, yeah,
That's
that's
fact.
Lakers.
I mean, it's hard, bro. Like when you say
It's hard.
Clippers, like if you look at the Clippers, they were so a lot of people don't realize they were really up and down this year.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
injured a lot, or guys were just out of the lineup due to load management. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but whenever they played the Lakers, other than the last time they played the Lakers, the Clippers lost. But other than that, like the first couple of times, like Kawhi was just going to work, like
Mm-hmm.
Pat
He
Bev
ga-
locked in.
he gave LeBron the business, yeah. But I watched these games and Lakers were doing well. Like it was all. I
Fourth,
don't think they were blowouts.
yeah,
It was
no,
all fourth quarter.
yeah,
And so, like that first game of the year, right? Like it was just the first. So I don't even think you
yeah,
count that because LeBron and AD never really played together yet. Now Christmas night, that I think they played on Christmas Day, and the Lakers lost again. But it was again a close game. It's just the Clippers got better of it, and maybe that's what would have happened in the playoffs, and it would have been like a 4-2 or a 4-3, and the Clippers would have won at the end. But I don't think it was something where like the Clippers were just like, okay, we're better than them top to bottom. It was a very close. Every game was close.
yeah.
And Kawhi just came out at the end and he won the game, and that's what he does. But
I will say
to
this.
say that like, yeah, to say that like the Clippers would have just like swept them or it would have been a 5-game series, that's disrespectful.
Nah, I would never say
Yeah.
that. But now that we're talking about it, imagine imagine how much hate LeBron would get this year if he plays Kawhi and he loses.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I mean,
tough, yo.
that's tough. That
That
is tough.
that would be hard. So I mean, yeah, I guess we don't really know. Um,
Yeah.
I'm
It sucks because he's like in a lose-lose situation. It's like if he loses, it's like LeBron, see, you suck, or you can't do it, blah blah blah. And if you win, it's like, oh, you're supposed to win. Like this is why you're considered the GOAT. It's like, bro, like give the man his credit. Like you can't win it every year. There's only one champion at the end of the year. There's 30 teams, right? So 29 other teams got to lose. So yeah.
I agree, bro. So it's interesting to see. I kind of think it's a toss up as well. I prefer for the Lakers to go to the finals if I had to go ahead and pick. But I mean, you look at PG and Kawhi, and
Mhm.
Lou Will and Pat Bev, and now they got more. Well, the Lakers got the other Morris twin, but
Yeah, but Montrezl Harrell, bro,
Trez,
that's their finishing five. That is, oh my god, they're dogs. Pat Bev, bro, holy shit, he be guarding LeBron and he don't give a like a rat's ass.
you care, bro.
That is like, man, the story of that guy, man, from South Chicago, like, holy shit, what a story, man. I love stuff like that.
Me too.
It's amazing. The
Me too.
dude played like in the Europe League, like in Europe for a while.
Yeah.
Um, I love that story, man. I, I can never root against that guy. Like I can never root against a guy like that. He's amazing.
I think
Lou Will too. Like all of them, Montrezl Harrell, all of them, Kawhi. Um,
they
yeah,
all have a story, bro, and I think that's why they kind of just fit together because they all have that grit. Like Lou Will
yeah.
came straight out of high school, like one of the last few people to do that. We thought his career was probably over after he was with the Lakers. Like
Mm.
you got
He
that.
gets buckets, man. Oh my god.
He's
Like if I'm rooting against the Clippers, I just close my eyes. It's just like, dude, these boys. Like every time Lou Williams shoots, it's going in. I remember when he was like against the Clippers when they were playing the Warriors in the playoffs this past year.
bro.
That dude went off,
Yeah,
man. And like same with Pat Bev. Like Pat Bev didn't care who he was. Like he was guarding KD, and KD has like a foot on him basically,
really.
like a whole ass foot,
Yep.
and he didn't care. He's a bulldog, man. He's a pit bull, bulldog, like all of them put together.
Yeah, them boys is nice. So I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the Rockets had a chance with them going with their small ball lineup?
Oh man. I don't. I don't think so. No, I think the matchups would have been they might have met the Clippers in the second round, and I think they would have locked them up.
They played.
Um,
They played the Clippers good this year though. They blew them out a couple times. I
yeah,
know.
but I don't know. I got to see it in the playoffs with James and Russell. Like I've seen James struggle way too many times in the playoffs. I, yeah, I don't know. I think there's one ball, and there's two players that are ball dominant. I don't know. That's something I got to see to believe it. Like with Kawhi, like I've seen it. With LeBron, I've seen it. But with them, I got to see it. It'd be nice. Like I love watching them. They're fun. That's a fun team to watch.
Do you like the fact that they traded Capella, or do you feel like they should have kept him?
Oh yeah, I think with their team, I think he had to go. It was just he they need to spread the floor, right? Like that's why they're doing the whole small lineup. So I think for them it makes sense. But like you play the Lakers, like
You're screwed, bro.
yeah, you might be able to like get some open shots or whatever, but you're getting zero rebounds. I don't know. I guess you just play the odds, and that's what they're like literally trying to do. They play the odds. That's their whole philosophy. It's like if we shoot more threes than you and make more threes than you, then at the end of the game, we should have more points than you. And they've done this whole math thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. I think in basketball, it depends one who has the best player on the floor, and if you're playing the Clippers, the Rockets definitely don't have the best player. If they're playing the Lakers, they don't have the best player. They might not have the second best player. Because I think the Lakers have LeBron and then AD, and then you can be like, okay, James Harden, and it's an argument. Even with the Clippers, it's like maybe they have the second best player on the floor, but you know,
Now here's a dark horse team that nobody really talks about. What about Denver?
yeah, Denver. I I didn't really watch them play that much this year.
And that's the thing. Nobody watches Denver.
Yeah, it's like the Spurs back in the day. They're kind of boring to watch.
And
Um,
they have such a good team, bro. But it's just like since Jokic isn't really like
yeah,
electrifying like that, and
he's not athletic.
really electrifying like that, like nobody really watches those boys.
Um, Yeah, I mean they're good. I think they have a pretty good home court advantage, right? Because you got to go to Denver and play in that high altitude and stuff. But I think I watched like a couple of games with them and the Lakers like just ran them off the floor. I
Yeah,
think AD and Joker, whatever his name, Nicholas Jokic. It's not a good matchup for the Denver Nuggets.
yeah.
The AD's always had a good game against them, and if AD cancels Jokic out, then LeBron's just like, yeah, you're done. And again, it's like, Joker's probably the third best player on the floor, right? It's LeBron or, LeBron AD and then Joker.
Nah,
So,
they kind of remind me of the Hawks from a couple of years ago when they had
yes. Yeah.
We're in for
And
it.
again, that's another team that has to prove itself. And I guess that's what the playoffs are for.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah, I don't know.
I feel you. I like how the West is. It was really nice to see who was going to take that 8th spot, if Zion was going to take it from Ja, or if
Bro, it was
my,
so much fun to watch Zion.
my
Oh,
guy.
the Kings were coming, bro.
Yeah, try.
Man, this whole coronavirus thing really screwed the NBA season over because the Kings were coming. And very quietly.
Nobody,
Very quietly.
nobody.
Nobody knew. I was watching the standings, so I was like, the Kings are like 9-10. What's happening? They were coming. And then the day the games got canceled was you guys were about to play the
Bro,
only national television game of the year against Zion. And
yes.
then the game didn't happen. I remember that.
Everything, bro. I was
Huh?
pissed. I came
Yeah,
home early from work, dog.
I remember that.
I was,
But dude, speaking of Zion and Ja Morant, my gosh, do we have some fun stuff to look forward to in the league?
we do.
Oh my, dude, Zion is holy shit. I think he's young. He'll eventually get a trainer where his body will probably mature into something that he will work with because he's got some, he's got some weight on him.
Yeah.
But man, can that guy jump out of the building? Holy, oh my God. I've never seen anything like it. And I've been watching basketball for a while.
I didn't think he was going to be this good. Like, I watched him at Duke.
Me neither.
There's no way that, like, this game is going to transfer over to the NBA.
But it's the same thing.
It is. It's literally doing the same.
He doesn't, like, he backs you down. If he misses, he's the first one to get the rebound. Like, his defense, I think, needs to get a little bit better. But, dude, he doesn't know what he's really doing out there. And he's, like, making every shot. His field goal percentage is amazing. Every time I look at the stat sheet, 8 for 12, 9 for 12, like 20 points, 10 like, I was just like, what is happening?
Yeah, bro.
It was amazing to watch that guy. And he's so fun to watch, man. It's amazing.
I agree. I like him. I think him and Lonzo are going to get along great. They've already developed chemistry, which is good. So I like that squad. If New Orleans can keep Brandon Ingram, who I know – actually, Brandon Ingram's due for a contract. I know Lonzo's coming up. He's going to be due for a contract or an extension soon. So it'll be interesting to see with them. But, yeah, we're in great stands. Real quick, I guess we'll go ahead and shift over to the East just to talk about them a little bit.
Yeah.
Milwaukee, we don't really need to talk about.
Before we talk about the East, we need to give a shout out to Ja Morant, man. He is a dog. And I loved what he did with the whole Iguodala situation because I don't think a lot of people would have spoke out about that. It's like, so I saw like an interview about him, just real quick. I think like they were excited to have Iggy on the team because they'd have a veteran or whatnot. And then Iggy was like, I don't want to play with y'all, right? But whatever. And he took offense to that. And he was like, so it's like that? All right, I'm going to show you.
Yep.
So I love that quality. Like, that's amazing. And he's a baller, man. He's a hooper. And he's one of those people that, like, he can jump out of the building. He don't think anybody can beat him. He thinks he's the best player on the floor. And he's young. He still needs to, develop his game and whatnot. He probably doesn't know what he's doing out there yet. But yeah, I just want to give a shout out to him.
I like how much trash talk he
yeah.
does.
He's a dog, man. He's like Russell Westbrook in the making. Like he don't care. He coming for the next.
Nobody thought Memphis was going to be this good, and it's like I don't want to say it's just because of him, but like those young guys, him, Jaren Jackson, having Valanciunas out there. What's my light skinned bro's name? Dylan Brooks. Like just having those guys, like them boys out in Memphis is really doing their thing. So shout out to them.
Yeah, but okay, we can switch over to East.
Real quick, Milwaukee. I mean, we know what Milwaukee's done.
They were balling.
I think they were going to hit 70 wins like we thought they
would. No, they started struggling. Well, because he got injured. No,
who?
He was out for a couple of games. Giannis, he was out, and then they lost a couple of games.
Yeah,
but they weren't going to hit 70.
Yeah, they weren't.
I think they would have just took the pedal off.
I think they were going to hit 70, but yeah, they cooled off a little bit. But I don't really think Milwaukee needs too much of a intro. They're doing the same thing that they did last year. They're putting everybody out. Like we need to see just playoff time with those boys too. But I do want to give a huge shout out to Boston because in a previous video that I made way back in November, I actually had Boston making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I had a good chance of actually proving me right and making that happen. So I do just want to talk on Jason Tatum's growth and just how much he's grown compared to last year, how easy Kemba's fit in this year compared to Kyrie last year. What's your biggest takeaway from Boston? Like, what do you see that's different the most with them this year compared to last year's team?
I think they like playing with each other. I think the whole Kyrie situation was just a little bit. It was blown up out of proportion, but there was some, there's some tension there.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think Jason Tatum grew up. Jaylen Brown grew up, right? Marcus Smart. I think all of them boys. And then, like you said, Kemba came in and fit right in. So he took that Kyrie role, and he kind of just like he didn't have that tension. He kind of just like
Exactly.
flew up with it. And yeah, I mean the door's open. It's like the only who's the best player in the East. It could be Giannis. It could be Joel Embiid, right? But see, I don't think they have like a best player on the Celtics, but they just have a really good team all
Right.
around.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think their coaching is really good with Brad. And I mean, they were before Kyrie got there, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7 against LeBron, when LeBron kind of won that game, and then went on to play the Warriors and got swept. But they were good, and Brad Stevens was getting all these praises about like, oh, he's the greatest coach of all time. He's taking all these no-name players, or like players that shouldn't be in the Eastern Conference Finals, because they beat Philly that year when they had Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and all them boys.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they have a great. Yeah, it's just all around good team. It's a good organization. Danny Ainge does a great job of running that. You know, running that team, and getting them good draft picks, or good trades or whatever. So yeah, I think the development has been really good with them. And yeah, we thought this was going to happen last year, but I don't know, injuries, tension,
That's true.
blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
So
And so I think, yeah, I think they were the second or the third seed in the East before this whole went down. So yeah, I think they would have been up there. They would have probably played Toronto in the second round. That would have been a great series, because
series
that would
tomorrow.
have been fun. Who knows what's going to happen? So your prediction about them going to the Eastern Conference Finals could have been very much true.
Exactly. So I like them. Real quick, I like that you mentioned Philly, and we're gonna wrap this video up in a couple minutes. But I wanted to touch on Philly real quick, because I was actually just watching the game where Joel Embiid dropped 40 points for the first time yesterday, and I was looking at that roster. I don't know what Philly's doing with their roster moves, bro.
I
Like
don't know.
it's.
There's also
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead and start, bro.
So sorry, lost my thought. It's just okay. So I think the coach got to go first of all,
Yeah.
but the other thing is I don't think Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid fit together, and that sucks to say. Sucks to see and slash say, because they're two of the top 10, maybe 15 players in the league. Joel is definitely top 10, and Ben could be top 10 if he develops a jump shot. But yeah, I don't know what they're doing, man. I forget that guy's name who they paid this past off season. Him, and then the other one. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. They see, some days they look really good, some days they look really bad. I think they had a really good home record, like they were unbeatable
Yeah.
at home, and then they would go on the road and it just like fall apart, which is signs for a bad team.
Yeah.
Because you should be, if you're gonna be a a long, it doesn't have to be even a championship team, but if you're gonna go deep in the playoffs, you got to be able to win on the road. Like that's what defines you, right? And they struggled on the road, and I just don't get it. So that's just a weird team. I think it needs to be. I think what was going to happen was they probably were going to get bounced in the second round, and they were going to fire their coach, and then they'd have to make some tough decisions on who they want to keep and who they want to trade.
They would have to, bro. Like their spacing, like, is just
Horrible,
bro.
yeah.
And the fact that, like you said, Simmons, he still can't shoot to save. They're just not evolving the way you would want them to. Simmons still looks the same. Joel, I mean, Joel's a beast, obviously, but it's just like he's still missing something at the end of the day to really make himself like the top big or just player in the world. And the fact that you pay Tobias Harris a max contract, you paid Al Horford way too much money, your bench
Too much.
terrible, and it's just bad, bro. So I don't really see Philly really doing much. They need to blow that thing up, or at least trade one of those guys and start over.
See, I thought when they got Al Horford, it was a good thing, but I think actually Boston benefited from that. They took him off their hands because they were going to have to pay that man,
Yeah.
right? Like, because he was loyal to them for a while. Like, they had him for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But Philly did a good thing for Boston. It's like, all right, like when it happened, I was like, oh, Philly, they had, Tobias, Al, Joel, and Ben. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, it's just not working out.
Not
It's
working.
not.
So, yeah, I think that's pretty much gonna. Well, I guess real quick we'll go in and shout out Miami because Miami's did work this year too. Shout out to Jimmy Butler, Kendrick Nunn, Bam Adebayo.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, they
boy,
put in work.
do you see Miami being an actual like contender though, or not? Not
Oh
really.
no, nah, nah. There's no way.
I,
They probably get bounced in the first. It depends on who they
I
play.
think yeah, it depends because they've kind of been slipping a little bit too into that 5 seed. I want to say. So
Yeah.
it will be interesting to see, but I did want to go and shout them out because nobody really saw them being that good.
How you
Um,
feel about Luka? Sorry.
I like Luca a lot. Honestly, I feel like some people are really, I don't want to say sleep because nobody's really sleep on Luca. If anything, they overhype him too much. But I'm not going to lie. I may possibly have Luca as my number 2 in MVP voting. Not going to lie to you.
What? Who? So number one is Giannis.
Yeah. And Luca and
There's no
LeBron.
way.
Luca and LeBron are
No.
like right there for me, bro.
Like Luka, like the Dallas Mavericks are number 7. What were they? 6 or 7? There's no way. I'm
Um,
sorry, I disagree.
I'll go ahead and tell you right now.
LeBron,
Here's my reasonings for that. You look
LeBron's
at
got to be
the
number 2.
Mavericks and what they have. Let me see standings. They are 40-27, bro.
Mm,
Pretty close to being a 50-win team.
mm.
How many games did they win last year? 30 something. I'm gonna assume.
Yeah,
So for them to go from a 30 something win team to possibly a 50-win team making the playoffs while Luka not having the second guy like that, KP is still trying to come back and get into form. I take that into the fact that their roster. I mean, okay, even if you say KP you want to give him an all-star, which he's not as of
mm-mm,
right now. But you look at the rest of
mm-mm,
the guys, Dwight Powell, Jalen Brunson, Seth Curry,
mm.
Tim
Yeah,
Hardaway Jr., like guys that nobody even cares about. They just picked up Willie Cauley-Stein. And the fact that these guys are in the West and they're winning like this with all the other teams who have at least 2 all-stars at least, like legit all-stars on their team, the fact that they're running
right.
guys like that, Luka deserves a lot of props this year. He's putting up like 27, 9, and 8 or something ridiculous like
Yeah.
that. So I just feel like the fact that he's carrying a team that doesn't really have a lot of talent, it up
I mean, I love Luka, but no, there's no way. I got to give it to LeBron at number 2 at what he's doing. See, if I'm looking at it from like a voter's point of view, and I mean, I don't obviously, I'm just a fan, so I just know a little bit. Um, but story matters, and if the story is taken into consideration, then LeBron's probably number 1. But I think Giannis would have won it because he had an out of this world season. But yeah, maybe yeah. I haven't seen Luka that much. I just love watching him play whenever I do get to see him. But I could not have. No, there's no way I could put him
I,
on the.
I agree as far as storyline goes, and don't get it twisted. Like it's not like it's clear cut. Like I have
Mm,
LeBron right there, but I feel
yeah,
like people are not giving Luka the amount of respect
I agree.
carrying his squad in just his second year the way they should. This is incredible. I don't know anybody who really carried their
I
team.
agree. 100% agree. Big shout out to CP3 also. He's carrying the Thunder. No one thought people thought he wasn't even gonna play. So I just want to give a shout out to CP. He's
Definitely.
balling, and he made an All-Star team, right? Like, and he was playing at the end.
Yep.
The crunch minutes. So that's cool to see. I'm glad he's getting some credit there because I feel like people don't respect him as much because he's never really gone deep in the playoffs, or I think he's gone once, but he's never been to the conference finals, if I'm right. Maybe he has once. I'm not sure. But what he's doing with this Thunder team is pretty good in the West. I think they were like a 6 seed or a 7, something like that. They were gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to CP3. I just wanted to mention that name before we
Real
sign
talk.
off.
Them boys, nobody had the Thunder being this good. So real talk.
I didn't even think he was gonna play. I thought he was just gonna be like, trade me, I'm not playing.
Yeah. Me
But
too.
for him to suck it up, play well, and get that team together, and so good for him.
If there was a comeback player of the year, it would definitely go to CP for sure this year. So
I 100% agree. Credits to him. Good for him.
So this is going to wrap it up for this episode, you guys. Me and Sunny, we're going to try to do these at least once a week, if not more, possibly, depending on what our schedules look like. But
Yeah.
go ahead and let us know down in the comments below what you think of this. Do you agree with some of the things we said? Disagree? Just go ahead and leave your responses down below. As usual, thanks so much for tuning in. And until next time, we out.
See y'all.